Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is yet another epic rant. And this time around, it definitely lives up to that title. I could not stand this fucking movie. Uh, it was so bad and so incompetent that I shut it off 30 minutes, like 30 to 40 something minutes in. And I took a break, and then I watched the rest of it a couple days later. That's how bad this fucking movie was. Now, before I get around to further burying this film, I want to give a special shout out to Daniel for requesting this review. And if there's another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to my PayPal. The link will be in the video description down below, and I'll try to get to it as soon as I possibly can. Now, The Last Stand is one of those films that's just astonishing in terms of its ineptitude, in terms of its incompetence, in terms of how awful it is on every single level of filmmaking. It's one of those movies that after you're done watching it, you're like, how? And why? Like, why was this made? And how was this fucking bad all the way around? If I were to make a list of worst films from 2021, this would definitely be high up on that list. And off the top of my head, this is easily the worst haunted house film that I can think of. I'd rather watch Beyond Evil or some of the other cheap haunted house movies. Hell, I'd rather watch any of the shitty Amityville horror sequels than The Last Stand. That's how fucking bad this movie is. Now, the film is directed by an absolute hack, David Kwan, who prior to this, I guess he did a few other films, but nothing for the US market. It was all overseas. And it seemed like they were all, for the most part, like comedies or dramas. Not really anything in the horror genre. Which is why this film at times seems like it's a comedy or a rom-com. Well, not necessarily a rom-com, but it does seem like it's a romantic drama at points. Probably because the director threw those things in there because that's what he's the most comfortable with. David Kwan has no idea how to direct a genuinely suspenseful and atmospheric horror movie. He gives away pretty much all of the scares with how he shoots his scenes. There's no subtlety. There's really not a whole lot of build up. It's just bam, in your face, Jack in the Box kind of scares. It seems to think that loud music or loud noises or quick zooms to the camera or all the other tired tricks when it comes to jump scares and horror films are what is actually scary. And instead, he creates a film where the attempts to provide a jump scare not only are not effective, but they are laughable. I mean, there's a whole scene where it quick pans or quick cuts to a pair of shoes that were left outside a doorway with a music sting. Like it's the scariest shit ever. It's a pair of fucking shoes. You're giving me scary shoes? Come on, man. Scary shoes? I feel like Austin Powers. You know that scene in Austin Powers where the guy throws a shoe at him and it's like, ow! That really hurt! Who thinks shoes are scary? Honestly. So yeah, scary shoes, scary creepy killer dolls, uh people who randomly show up in the frame, and honestly might as well just say boo. Just awful. And he does nothing to make the film look like it's more expensive than it is when it comes to its production values. His direction is so lame that it just makes the film look even cheaper most of the time. It's also the kind of direction that's very flat, very lifeless, not a lot of energy to it, not a lot of creativity to it, other than an occasional quick zoom or two. Yeah, just really bad direction. And I'm going to keep repeating the terms really bad because this film is a really bad movie. It also features a script by Bill Jones and Catherine Lewis. And this is another one of those screenplays that thinks it's clever when it comes to its twist, but it's not clever at all. It's not really that unique. It's one of those screenplays that it seems like it's trying to provide some red herrings or provide some moments that take you off the trail in terms of what the final reveal is. But then there's stuff that undermines it because the script is so shitty. You'll have lines of dialogue that make no sense within the context of the scene. You just have the caretaker of the inn just all of a sudden dump some exposition in a way that's just incredibly awkward. Oh, by the way, don't go into the fog at night because it's the entrance to the spectral plane. Oh, don't go into the fog at night because it's the entrance to the spectral plane. Oh, that's because you're in purgatory. Don't go into the light because if you go into there, then you'll leave, and maybe it's not the right time yet. Maybe you'll be stuck, or maybe you'll go to hell. Maybe you'll die, go to heaven, whatever. It didn't even do its job right in that regard. As soon as I heard that line of dialogue, I was like, hey, they're in some kind of purgatory between heaven and hell, right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Wow. Maybe don't have a fucking line of dialogue like that. Also, these characters are unbelievably stupid for the most part. The lead character, the lead girl, the way that she's written, she's a total massive moron. Laura. She goes into the inn and she follows a sign that clearly has a skull and crossbones on it and an arrow. Yeah, follow the sign with an arrow and skull and crossbones. Yeah, that's definitely going to work out for you. Then she goes into this creepy inn in the middle of nowhere. The doors open up by themselves. The phone rings on its own. She sees some scary, potentially skeevy looking old man in a doorway with the butcher knife. And she's like, oh, do you have any rooms that are available? Like, okay, even in the context of, oh, it's meant to, has no choice. It's purgatory. That doesn't even make any sense. Because no one would actually willingly be like, yeah, I'm gonna ask for a room in this fucking creepy ass inn with a guy with a butcher knife and what looks like poltergeist activity. Good. And she continues to be stupid. Like, there is an obviously creepy doll that looks like it's probably got some sort of demon in it, and she grabs the doll and takes it with her into the bedroom. And, oh, of course, then something creepy happens. A ghost, evil ghost visits her at night, or Gives her nightmares. Wow, what a shocker. Maybe you shouldn't take the creepy doll into your fucking bedroom at night. Like an idiot. God. Oh, man. And none of the other characters are much better. They're also pretty equally dumb, doing dumb things. Like, it's a dumb slasher movie. And there are attempts to try to create, like, a love story. Because there's this one guy who apparently knows Laura. I think the guy's name is Steven, I think. So he knows Laura. And throughout the film, it seems like they're trying to get each other to recognize their connection with one another. Like there's something deeper going on there. But the only reason why he doesn't tell her that he was her lover who died in the same accident that caused her and him to wind up in this purgatory is because he can't. Because of bullshit, lazy screenwriting logic. Oh, I can't tell you because in order for you to earn the ability to go back to the realm of the living, you have to figure it out on your own. What the fuck is that shit? Like, honestly, what if those rules are terrible? I wonder how many times people never really went back to the world of the living because they never actually found a way to get themselves to remember why they wound up there, or remember who this person in their life was. Because I guarantee there were probably people who were not really the brightest bulbs, who probably didn't remember that shit in time, and the 7 days ran out, and now they're fucking screwed. Now they're stuck in purgatory for the rest of their existence. Stupid logic. Stupid rules. They only exist to make up for screenwriters who suck. Then you have stuff involving the doll, which has some demon in it for some reason, and then all this other stuff that's going on in this plot just makes you scratch your head even harder, because you're like, okay, this is a purgatory of sorts, this inn where these souls who are lost find a way to either pass on to the other side, or if they fail, they stay there? Okay. Why the hell is this inn and these caretakers trying to scare the shit out of these people? Out of these souls? What purpose does it serve to have a demon doll? What purpose does it serve to have the husband of the caretaker of the hotel be some kind of crazy butcher killer? What purpose does any of this fucking serve other than to provide horror cliches and horror tropes? Because that's all that really it provides. And it's not like they're good, scary, tense scenes. It's not like there's good gore in this. I mean, there's a sequence at one point in the film with the butcher guy where he's cutting up body parts, and it's clearly some of the fakest looking CGI you will ever see in your entire fucking life. So, I just don't get this fucking movie. I don't get this script. They're stuck in purgatory, and it's obvious from like the first 15-20 minutes because of the way that certain people are talking, like Mrs. Lost, the caretaker, the woman who runs the inn, and there are all these flashbacks and stuff that the film is chock full of, near the end in particular, after Laura remembers her past. There are just montages of her and her boyfriend dating, complete with some cheesy song that you would hear in a Hallmark or Lifetime movie. And they show certain sequences more than once because they have to pad the running time. Yeah, the scene with the guy drinking the Dr. Pepper can while he's driving down the highway and ignoring Laura and litters and throws the can on the road. Yeah, that scene was so amazing that you have it twice. I'm sorry, I don't need to see Dr. Pecker 2 times. I didn't need to see Dr. Pecker once. Why am I seeing this guy twice? Did the director have some sort of secret handshake deal with Dr. Pepper? That's the only thing I can think of when it comes to why this scene is there twice. The scene only has one difference when it comes to the second time you see it. It's just shot at a little bit different of an angle. Or maybe a different perspective. And that's it. It still remains exactly the same. And serves the exact same purpose as it did the first time around. So yeah, this script is awful. It's absolute garbage. The characters are either morons or they're unlikable. There are random things that happen for no fucking reason, like a hallucination or like an apparition that happens at one point where Laura goes down in the basement and sees this guy in a mask torturing and killing this little girl. And that's never brought up again because it's just there for some sort of cheap shock or scare. You'll have stuff where certain member or certain visitors of the inn, people who are staying there, all of a sudden will look creepy and like zombies. So you'll have like the junkie girl who will be in the bathtub, and then all of a sudden her eyes are cloudy and glowing, and she looks even more dead than she already did initially. And she's like in a bathtub full of blood, and you're like, okay, what, why, and what? I mean, if she's there because it's a purgatory and she's stuck there, I guess they're trying to insinuate, oh, well, she's trapped here and she's going to relive the moment when she killed this guy over and over again because that's her fate. But at the same, yeah, I believe she's the one that killed the guy. Or the other guy killed her. I don't fucking remember. And honestly, I don't fucking care. I already forgot most of this movie, and I watched it just a few days ago. But yeah, I mean, why is she looking like she's some sort of demon ghost now? Why? Just because. That's why. So yeah, the script, it's shit. The performances by the cast are really pathetic for the most part. These are all relative no-name actors and actresses, and you could see why they didn't go on to greater heights, at least not yet, because it's not like they showcased a lot of legitimate acting talent in this movie. On one hand, I kind of do feel for them because they weren't really able to showcase their full potential as actors or actresses because the ADR was so atrocious that it made everyone sound like they were flat and dead. So, yeah, maybe they might have been a bit better if they were able to actually act instead of just be husks for really bad ADR. But I don't think they would have been that much better, because it's not like we even have like C grade actors or even D grade actors in this production. So yeah, Emily Hall, Walker Barnes, Tristan Cunningham, Jamo King, Lauren Peterson, uh, Scott Talbot, Louis Limantor, Leia Limantor, Teresa Croft, Zarima Akmalov, like all of these actors and actresses that were relatively abysmal in this. And like I said, it might not entirely be their fault because the ADR is so atrocious, but it's not like they're amazing talents either. And it's not like they had that much to work with in terms of the script, because the script is so shitty. Now, speaking of things that are bad about this movie, other elements of this film are nothing special when it comes to cinematography. A lot of the sequences are pretty murky looking, and not in a good way, especially scenes that take place at night or when the lights are off. It's kind of hard to see some things sometimes. The cinematography is another thing that doesn't do much to cover up the film's incredibly low production values. The editing is just egregious. It's annoying because there's just a lot of just quick cuts that are jarring and not in a way that's really effective when it comes to providing legitimate chills or any kind of thrills. The score is way too overbearing, way too loud. It thinks pretty much every scene is either terrifying or epic, and it's neither of those things. It's like somebody took a bunch of generic trailer music from YouTube's free music library and just threw it in random scenes. The visual effects are just pure ineptitude at its finest. They are so bad. I mean, there's even a CGI wooden sign at one point. I mean, that's the kind of film that we're dealing with here when it comes to the production values. Can't even afford a sign, so you do it in post with CGI. Oh, and CGI falling rocks as well, because we can't afford fucking rocks. This film is so cheap, it can't afford rocks. So, yeah, this film is all kinds of awful. Every single level of this film's production is bad. From the direction, to the writing, to the performances by the cast, to the editing, to the cinematography, to the visual effects, to the music, to the sound design. I mean, it's so bad that you got a scene right from the very beginning where you have a little girl who's at she's doing some sort of seance or ritual with a Ouija board, and it's clearly an adult making their best attempt at a child's voice, and it sounds just as bad as you think, and it makes you think you're watching some bad English dub of an Italian horror movie, but it's not. It's all in English. Everyone's speaking English here. It's not a foreign film that's dubbed with English actors. No. For some reason, every single line of dialogue that's said by anyone in this is done in post. It's like re-recorded. And it's some of the worst ADR of all time. It's so bad. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say about The Last Inn, except This film is so fucking shitty and so much of a piss stain that even if this was the last film that was available on the face of the earth that I could watch, I still would never watch this again. I would rather watch A Blank Wall than watch this movie again. I mean, The Blank Wall probably would give me just as much entertainment value as well, because it's just as dull, it's just as boring, and who knows? Maybe The Blank Wall might provide a little bit something extra that this film doesn't provide. I mean, at least A Blank Wall wouldn't be as annoying. Blank Wall's not going to scream at me with lazy, terrible jump scares and overblown, overloud music and bad ADR. It is what it is. It's just a blank wall. So, yeah, as you can see, I'm so uh, unenthusiastic about this movie that now I'm talking about A Blank Wall. So yeah, I think that's a good point for me to stop this review. Um, yeah, I definitely would not recommend this movie at all. It's not even one of those bad movies that's so bad it's good either. It's just all kinds of bad in every way you can think of and more. It's not enjoyable. It's not one of those films that's so cringe that you can watch it ironically with friends or while intoxicated. No, it's not that kind of movie at all. It's insufferably boring. It's incompetent. It's really poorly made. Yeah, it's it's like your last trip to the bathroom, but if that last trip to the bathroom was uh, chronic diarrhea. Anyway, thank you for watching my rant on The Last Inn, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.